Hourglass Twins look impossible, but they are almost real. Real-world physics gets you surprisingly close. Close enough, but one part still shouldn't work. And now Outer Wilds solves it with the rule you've been using the entire game. But first, how much of this could actually exist? Amber Twin and Ash Twin orbit extremely close to each other. For comparison, you could fit about 30 Earths between the Earth and the Moon. Here, the distance is only a few planetary radii. So how close can two planets actually get? There is a limit to how close two planets can get. If they cross it, tidal forces start tearing them apart. That boundary is called the Roche limit. For fluid bodies like Giant's Deep, that limit is about 2.4 radii. For solid planets, the limit is even smaller, around 1.3. At this point, two planets of the same size would already be colliding. So, in theory, two solid planets can orbit each other as long as they're not touching. And that's exactly where the Hourglass Twins sit. Right on the edge, but still within what physics allows. It would be a violent system with extreme tides and constant geological stress, but not an impossible one. And at this distance, something even stranger becomes possible. What we are seeing here is called mass transfer. And the best way to study it is in binary stars. Around each star there is a region where gravity holds onto material. If one of them fills that region, material can spill over to the other side and start to flow. And we see this happening all the time in binary stars, but it's not limited to them. There are even planets slowly losing their atmospheres to their stars. We haven't observed this between two planets yet, but that's mostly because it's extremely hard to detect, not because it's impossible. So, if material reaches that point between them, L1, flow from one planet to the other is completely realistic. But can it actually switch direction? Getting material to flow one way is easy, but making it go both ways is a different story. Once the flow starts, the system becomes unstable. One side keeps losing mass, the other keeps gaining it. And that imbalance reinforces the flow instead of reversing it. To even have a chance of reversing, a few things have to line up. First, the two planets need to be almost identical in mass. And in the game they are. Their masses are exactly the same. Second, the mass of material being transferred has to be small. And surprisingly, that's also true here. The flow doesn't change the gravity over a cycle. And third, you need something that can shift the balance point between them. What could it be for this system? The Sun? Its influence is negligible. Random impacts? Too rare and too chaotic. That leaves just one candidate. The quantum moon. When it appears in orbit, it slightly shifts the gravitational balance, enough to move the L1 point through the upper layers of material. Yes, it can trigger the flow from one twin to the other, but only for a small amount of material near that boundary. Once that layer is gone, there is nothing left to flow. In reality, that would be a weak, temporary stream, but in the game the flow is strong and continuous. So what's keeping it going? There is something strange about this sand. It doesn't behave like normal sand. It doesn't pile up from above. It feels like it's filling from within. The way it fills these spaces, it's much closer to a fluid. And the pressure is enormous. If you stay here too long, I just want to remind you the sound. There is actually a similar effect we observe in space. On bodies with little to no atmosphere, like the moon, dust can become electrically charged. Sunlight knocks electrons off the surface, and the particles start to repel each other. That makes the dust much easier to lift. It can stay suspended above the surface, almost like a very thin gas. But in Outer Wilds, gases behave in a very unusual way. This plant is growing in a vacuum of space, and yet there is a bubble of breathable oxygen around it. In a real world, that gas would instantly disperse, but here it stays together. Which means in other worlds, matter doesn't disperse the way it should. Something in this world is actively halting it. The molecules are strongly attracted to each other, and if that same force applies to the suspended sand, everything changes. Once the flow begins, it doesn't break apart, it keeps pulling more and more material with it until the entire planet is drained. So piece by piece, everything checks out. And the missing piece comes from a new law of physics, unique to outer wilds. With that in place, the whole system works. So the Hourglass Twins don't seem that crazy anymore. At least not compared to Brill Hollow or Dark Bramble. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, I've got plenty more ideas. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Bye!